And welcome back to AgriTalk Online here at Commodity Classic. We're going to talk with some folks from the Kansas Soybean Association. We have Bob Henry and Terry Reschke with us. Now, Bob also serves on the ASA board, and kind of get an idea of, we've been talking with the different growers here. As we've mentioned, you have corn, soybean, wheat, and sorghum, and delegates here are setting policy for their particular commodities for the coming year, looking ahead to that next farm bill, certainly. And Bob, I want to talk with you first and kind of give us a sense of what you're hearing in the soybean industry about looking ahead to that next farm.
Well, of course, the Farm Bill coming up in 2012 is a big issue for us, and we're looking at providing safety net for producers so that we can manage the risk. The risk is very high in the commodities now, in all commodities. So looking at ways to protect that risk, and we're all aware that the funding will be less than what it has been. It's just a matter of trying to keep a disproportionate cut in funding for agriculture, that we don't be the shortfall, that to keep what we can keep, we know there'll be budget cuts, but try to keep that safety net in place and that support for all of the commodities so that we can manage that risk.
It's almost a case of not being penalized for your success. The temptation is going to be for those in the budget cutting process to say, wait a minute, you have high soybean prices. What do you need any support from us for?
Well, high prices, don't stay forever, and the weather is the unknown factor in that. So even with high prices, if you can't raise the commodity and have anything to sell, you still need that income protection on the bottom side so that you can continue to go into the next year and the year after that. That 1 year doesn't put you out of business, so to speak.
Let's bring in Terry Reschke with the Kansas Soybean Association as well, first vice president. Terry, I guess that is the key. We're hearing more and more safety net. How do we, through what we know is going to be tighter budgets, less money, how do we preserve an adequate safety net for farm?
Well, one of the things we continue to work on is, talk to our legislatures to make sure we get all the appropriations that we need to continue the funding for overseas marketing programs, and so we always have that market for the products that we raise and keep that demand up, and that's one of the reasons we're here today is to develop policies and so they can continue doing that. So.
Yeah, the challenge again here is with good times, high prices, there's a tendency for some to say, well, then why do we need the very programs that help you achieve some of these things? If you lose them, they're pretty hard to reestablish.
That's exactly right, and we're here this week mostly to set those policies and resolutions so that we do talk to our legislators. We can go to them with one voice and speak for all the soybean producers here in the country and let them know what everybody wants from our end and try to get the things passed that we think we need passed to continue to be successful farming.
And it's not like you're saying to Congress, hey, we don't want any cuts at all. I mean, you realize there will be cuts and agriculture will have to give its fair share.
And we realize that. We want the cuts to be proportionate with everybody else's cuts, and we're not really asking for too much. We just want to make sure that the programs that were put in place and funded to promote exports continue to stay in place so that we can continue to sell a product. A lot depends on what happens outside of this country. Right now, 1 out of every 4 rows that we will combine or harvest this fall will go to China, and we've got to continue working with those people. And as we speak, we have people over there now, and that's what sometimes producers don't realize that. Every day we've got people from the associations out there trying to do the work to promote the crops that we sell.
Bob, what I often point out to people is farm programs is one of the very few government programs where the spending is going down. There aren't many government programs that can say that.
No, that's true, and and the commodity side of the farm program is a pretty small percentage dollar-wise of the whole bill. So we realize there are budget restraints in this new farm bill. Some of the other things that we're looking to also that affect our livelihood and our bottom line, our regulations, laws that are passed, so that we don't become over-regulated on dust issues, odor issues, etc. There's a lot of other work to do that are in the benefit of soybean producers and all grain producers in the country, other than on the dollar side of it.
That's a good point. And when we're talking about cutting, we've seen what's happened to an industry like the biodiesel industry. If you had a year without a tax incentive, and it pretty much put the whole program at a stop. So that's what's at stake here too.
Exactly, and the biodiesel industry is a good example with an infant industry that's trying to get established and build plants up, build production, build a reputation up, and then to have that tax credit taken away for a year, it was a real financial strain on companies. And now with RFS2 coming into effect, as the gallons go up, it's imperative that we stimulate that production so that we're able to meet those RFS2 production goals for in the future.
Here's what's going to be an interesting battle this spring too: the battle for acres. The market usually buys acres, but right now it's sending out a signal we're buying all kinds of acres of all commodities across the board. What do you think is going to happen in your part of Kansas, Bob? We'll start with you. As far, will there be more or less, about the same on soybean acres?
I think our acre mix will probably stay pretty much the same. There could possibly be some more bean acres go in our part of the state. Corn has been a big profit maker, but a lot of the 4 and 5 year corn guys are starting to see some yield drag from 4 and 5 years of corn. If you go 2 and 3 years corn, it's not so bad. I think you'll see a little bit more rotation back, some corn acres back into beans to get closer to a 50-50 mix.
That would be what part of Kansas?
We live in northeast Kansas in Brown County.
And we won't even mention that you're neighbors to Ken McCauley. That's a whole other issue you've got to deal with. And Terry, what about you? What do you think in your area?
Well, we're about in that same area, maybe 10 miles west of there, and it's basically a corn and soybean area. And also, you talked about the acreage battle, and it'll be a little different this year than in the past, and not in our area, but cotton is going to be a big factor in that acreage battle.
The fact that some of those acres that would have come out of cotton maybe into soybeans, not so much this year because cotton prices are so good.
Right. Cotton has been down the last several years, and the battle for acres, when you mentioned cotton, it has hardly been a factor, but it will be this year.
So overall, what do you feel, what's the mood of soybean growers that you've talked with here?
Well, I mean, everybody's got to feel pretty good about the prices that we see right now. But like Bob said, prices can come and go, and we still have the same issues that we've always had, and we'll continue to have the challenges with legislation, funding for marketing projects and things like that. Those same challenges will still be there, even though the prices at this time are high. But we all know that can change in a matter of days or weeks. So.
And the more things I think you have in common with other sectors of agriculture, and you can go to Washington with a unified front on some of those, the better it will be for agriculture.
Well, that's exactly why we're here today. We're here to represent all the soybean growers when we develop these policies and resolutions, so that we do go to October legislatures, of which there will be many new legislators in Washington this year. We can speak with one voice and let them know exactly what we're supporting.
All right. So that's the challenge that is being worked on here. And again, our thanks to our two guests here from the Kansas Soybean Association, Bob Henry and Terry Reschke. Guys, have a good year. Thank you. Okay.
And we'd also like to thank you and all the other farm broadcasters for the work you do to keep this business of agriculture going. It takes a lot of cooperation, and I know you spend a lot of time here and away from your homes and families, and we appreciate what you do to support us. So.
Thank you very much, Bob. Good luck to you, and keep Ken McCauley in line, will you?
I will do the best we can.
All right, we'll take a break. Back with more from here at Commodity Classic. Stay with us on AgriTalk Online.